prediction video for the upcoming, highly anticipated Floyd Money Mayweather Victor Ortiz fight, which takes place September 17th, live on HBO pay-per-view. The 24/7 is going to be starting, I believe, this weekend, and let the circus begin. Really haven't been hearing too much about this fight. I'm assuming they're gonna really get on the promotional job, so to speak, from here on out, as the 24/7 is gonna be aired on CNN. I believe immediately after the HBO telecast, which I believe is at 11. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it'll be on from there, man. So a lot of questions going into this fight. First off, Floyd Mayweather coming in after I believe it's gonna be a 14-month layoff from his last fight with Mosley to his upcoming fight with Victor Ortiz. He's 34 years old and hasn't been the most active fighter for being one of the top guys. Hasn't been the most active fighter, in the last several years. And with Victor Ortiz is, you got a young guy who's had some bumps in the road, but he managed to have a candidate for Fight of the Year against Andre Berto this past April. His first fight at welterweight, and he won the WBC welterweight title. The night of the fight, we see 50 and Floyd in the crowd, so automatically you're thinking, okay, he's there to scope out what's who his next opponent's gonna be, and that opponent was Victor Ortiz. So we know Victor Ortiz's history as far as his personal life is concerned and his professional career, and when I say he's taking bumps in the road, he's the moment we go to is the fight with Marcos Maidana, where he pretty much quit, gave up, dropped Maidana, I believe, like 3 times in the fight, but he was getting hit too, and he went up against the guy who was not gonna stop and was relentless, and it really mentally broke down Victor Ortiz. Now, from that point, he's managed to stack up wins against, quality opponents. He fought Nate Campbell, who's always a tough guy to fight and a veteran, and he beat up what's his face, Vivian Harris, and had his fight with Lamont Peterson. Didn't look too good towards the stretch of the fight. He managed to knock down Lamont Peterson, but Peterson went in there and just started boxing. And we seen, again, not Ortiz quitting, but just really mentally out of the fight. And, he goes from there, and then he fights Andre Berto. And, many of us thought, like, well, how's he going to perform against a guy like Berto? But at the same time, Berto was another situation where, we didn't know where he was really at, because the level of his competition wasn't too shabby either. So now we got September 17th, and we have, really, man, I mean, they're setting it up like the young buck against the old lion. But I think this is going to be a scenario similar to what Bernard Hopkins versus Kelly Pavlik was. You had a guy in Bernard Hopkins in his 40s against a guy in his mid-20s, and many of us thought, like, well, man, look, Pavlik's on a roll. He's managed to knock everybody out he's fought, or at least, have a string of knockouts, with the exception of the Jermaine Taylor fight, or the rematch. And then, going into the Hopkins fight, man, you're thinking, like, well, damn, B-Hop's been looking good, but, Pavlik was on a roll, and, we all saw what happened, man. He got outclassed, outboxed, and destroyed round by round, meaning Pavlik. So, what do I see with this fight? I think Victor Ortiz is tailor made for Floyd Mayweather. And what I mean by that is, though Ortiz is quick and he is a southpaw, when you got a guy in there who is a master psychologist when it comes to overall ring smarts and knowing where to be and when to, initiate your offense and get your opponent frustrated, Floyd Mayweather is the king when it comes to that. And that is where I believe Victor Ortiz is going to succumb and fall to Floyd. Now, is there a possibility that Floyd Mayweather loses his legs that night or is just a little bit off? Absolutely. He's 34 years old, and like I said, he's not as active. And you have to put that into the equation because people are going to point to Bernard Hopkins as today's prototype as far as older fighters managing to stay on top. The difference with Bernard Hopkins is Bernard Hopkins, one way or another, has remained active throughout the course of the last 5-6 years. Look at every year he, from 2004 to now. And he's managed to fight almost every year. So, and he takes care of himself, and so does Floyd. But you don't want to be in a situation where, you're just a little off as far as your reflex is concerned, because this is what we've known as Floyd Mayweather. His defense is phenomenal. The best of this era, I would argue. But a lot of his defense relies on how agile and how good of an athlete he is. But in time, if you're not active, man, those things, they zap. So, are we going to see that come September 17th? I don't think so, but it's not impossible. And I think, to me, that is the only way that I see Victor Ortiz pulling off some type of upset, with Floyd maybe being just a tad off and him getting hit with the left hook. I've seen crazier things happen in boxing, specifically Douglas Tyson, but again, this is obviously a different scenario, and we've come to see how great Floyd Mayweather is, and I expect to see that September 17th, and I think Floyd Mayweather will pull out a decision, and I think Victor Ortiz is going to be a lot tougher, and he'll bring the fight to Floyd, but again, we're going to see, at least for what I see, a quintessential Floyd performance, bar him, like I said, not falling into the equation of just being a little bit off and his legs not being there. So, I got Floyd Mayweather, unanimous decision, and I think Victor Ortiz's stock may rise from this fight, and we'll see if inevitably the next fight will be with Pacquiao, man, because it's reaching 2012, and we got Pacquiao Marquez coming up, and if it does happen, because we're reading about all these legal woes of Manny Pacquiao, which is kind of nuts, but nevertheless, I'm looking forward to a good fight and really an overall good card. I mean, if you've seen the fights that are on there, we got Alvarez and Gomez, and Morales Matisse, and it's gonna be a good night of boxing, man. So stay tuned, and we'll see what's popping next, and let me know who you think is gonna win that fight. Let me know what you think Victor Ortiz needs to do to get a victory or an upset over Floyd, and I'll be back soon, y'all.